Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The New World. And in today's video, we discuss our hometown team and the Memphis Grizzlies and why their name should be in a lot more mouths after a season where the team is, as of now, half a game behind second in the West, ranked first in points per game with 123.2, ranked top 10 or 5 in almost every defensive category in the league, as well as having the capabilities of making a run in the playoffs or even making it to their first appearance in the finals. But before we hop into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we're on the road to 10K subs. Turn on those notifications if you haven't, and comment if you think the Grizzlies don't get talked enough and if they're contender this year. Now, fellas, after watching the Grizzlies throughout this season, do you think their success has gone unnoticed? And do you even feel like the face of the franchise, Morant, has gone unnoticed as well?
Uh, I don't think that the Grizzlies have gone unnoticed. I think that in comparison to teams like the Lakers, who have had a resurgence and in their appeal, especially since they've gotten the Luka Doncic trade, the Lakers now have been in those talks of teams that can win a championship. The Grizzlies have kind of taken a little step back. I will say this: I think that I've liked the maturity and the growth from John Morant in terms of his leadership. But I will say this: he's not having a spectacular season. I think that he's coinciding with the team and he's molded his game. He also has gotten hurt a little bit as well, so that's kind of derailed the pack. I think that we have to give coaching a great deal of credit in terms of this team being able to kind of carry the forward and maintain and be a great team. But what we have seen with the Memphis Grizzlies is what we have seen when John Morant has played for majority of the season. They're going to have a top seed, but in that postseason, are they going to be able to overcome? Are they going to be able to really lock down? I think that's what we're looking forward to. I mean, I will say it's a lot of bias and, second guessing and revisionist history with these younger teams. It's harder for them to overcome, like the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a lot harder for them to get that push because they are young, they are in smaller markets, and they haven't proven shit. But what I really want to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies is the fact that, dog, unless they win a championship, they're never going to be held in high regard. They're not. They've dropped a little bit, so they're currently fourth in the Western Conference. But they face challenges in terms of being seriously recognized as a championship contender throughout anytime they've been competitive. And this perception is influenced by a lot of different factors, such as their market size, their financial valuation, and as we talked about, their media exposure. So 2024, Grizzlies are valued at approximately $3 billion. That's the least valuable franchise in all of the NBA's 30 teams. Average NBA team is valued at $4.6 billion. We have talked about this in our small market teams video, so ladies and gentlemen, feel free to watch that where we give a deeper dive on where the Grizzlies stand in the other lower market teams. They're at the bottom. They're at the bottom of the bottom. And I think a lot of that has to do with them being in Memphis. Like I said, Memphis is a very, very small market, limiting revenue such as local broadcasting rights. When we talk about that metropolitan area, Memphis has the smallest metropolitan area. Like they're not hitting enough homes. They're not. Sponsorship deals, merchandise sales. They can't compete with these other franchises. They can't compete with the New Yorks, the Los Angeles. So what you're banking on is you're banking on your talent to overcome and your organization to overcome. And sometimes it just isn't enough. You need a little bit of a push. Look at situations like with this Jimmy Butler ordeal or when trades are happening. Grizzlies have the talent. Like they have everything that you want in a team. Like they're on the up and up. They have the young star. They have everything, but they're in Memphis. So niggas like Jimmy Butler don't want to go there. Guys like Kevin Durant and Luka, like these guys don't want to go there because it's Memphis. So you're always going to have that. So you essentially have to be homegrown. You have to be. So teams in larger markets, they benefit from that exposure. Let's look at the Warriors. They just got Jimmy. Look at the Lakers. They just got Luka. Like they're swindling deals because of the markets that they're in. And they also have those 10-year vets on the team like the Stephs and like the LeBrons. Memphis Grizzlies just don't have it, bro. So this is something that I brought to the guys. And I know my boy Jay is not going to like this, but having a business background, if you are the Memphis Grizzlies, I strongly suggest two things. Either you sell the fucking team, because in my opinion, I think that there are too many damn teams in the NBA. So you sell the franchise. In my opinion, The value of these NBA franchises continues to go up, but I think we're going to get to a point where that shit is going to start leveling off. This is the perfect opportunity for you to sell. You sell the Memphis Grizzlies, you're gonna get $3 billion. You're gonna get that at least. When Donald Sterling, when he sold the Clippers, he pocketed $2 billion. That was some years ago. That was over a decade ago. You're going to get at least $3 billion. It's a good deal. If you don't do that, you need to relocate. You got to relocate, dog. And in my opinion, if you're gonna stay, and I think that there's a lot of value in the South, in the Tennessee area, take your ass to Nashville. You can enhance your financial standing as well as your competitiveness. Nashville is growing its population. It's a very vibrant economy, ladies and gentlemen. They offer a more substantial media market and corporate presence. Like, of course, you got the Titans over there. You also have music over there. You got a lot of motion over there. You're going to get enhanced sponsorships, higher attendance, greater merchandise sales. Now, I will say that relocating is a very complex process, and I really don't know in this current NBA climate if that's even reasonable or feasible. But those are the two options that you got if you want this team to raise in their value from a financial perspective as well as a competitiveness perspective. Because Jay, Buffy, y'all, Memphis Grizzlies, you're not going to get any free agents. You're never going to get any marquee free agents. So what you're banking on is that Ja Morant is a great enough player to get you to a championship. And in my opinion, I don't know. I really don't know, dog. So that's what the media is looking at. They're looking at Ja Morant not that great. I mean, he's really, really good, but he's not on that Jokic level. He's not on that level. So what are we banking on? We're banking on that a group of young guys with coaching can elevate in the postseason. That doesn't really happen. And then if we compare him to like the OKCs of the world, we're kind of in that same mold. Is Ja on the same level as Shea? Absolutely not. So what are we really talking about here, dog? What are we talking about here? Grizzlies we've seen the Grizzlies in the postseason when they've had a top 3 seed. They went up against an experienced team that had size in the Los Angeles Lakers, and what happened? BTA. I feel like we're just going to see the same thing this season. And I feel bad because I think that they're going to put pressure on Ja Morant to demand a trade because his team is probably not going to get out the first round. I wouldn't be surprised this team is a first round exit. And if that's the case, Jay, you're going to be losing that. You're going to be losing that, brother, because it's going to be hard for them. It's going to be hard for Ja Morant to say, especially with all the pressure on these guys at a young age to win championships, it's going to be hard pressed for them to be like, okay, I need to stay here. They're going to be clamoring for that guy to get moved, and they're going to want him to be in a bigger market. So those are my two options, man. I think that this is a make or break year for y'all, and unfortunately, I don't think you guys are going to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, this year, the Grizzlies have been playing really good. Half a game behind like second seed. As Mal said, the revolving thing with the Grizzlies is, can they get over that hump in the playoffs? Because we've been, a top 3 seeded team, and we've fallen short because, being smaller. Like we got beat by the Lakers because of that size. And we got beat by the Warriors because of their, what's it called? Experience. So, that has been the main thing. And, this year, the Grizzlies done really well. Ja, he's been kind of in and out, but he's just now starting to, be pretty healthy. And, it's kind of been a down year for him because he hasn't really played, that's as much games. But the Grizzlies, I love the team. They've been my favorite team since I was a kid. But, as far as like revenue for the team and all this and that and growing, like, Barto said, I really don't know how much more they can grow being in the city of Memphis. Like, I would hate for it to happen, but it would also be the smart, business move for them to go to Nashville. Like, they would make more money. We would see an all-star game out there probably. But, like, anytime soon, we're not seeing an all-star game in Memphis. Because they probably can't even fit, like, everybody out there to do that. Like, there has to be certain things where you can, have players living at, in the hotels and certain things of that aspect for them to even be able to come out there. So you have to, factor in those things. But as far as the Grizzlies this season, I do think they can make a push. How far they will go, it depends on, matchups. I did think that before the Lakers traded AD, that was going to be our biggest problem. Them, of course, Jokic, and OKC with all the talent they got. Like that's been the reoccurring problem with the Grizzlies under Ja, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson is the size. And we've seen Ja. He has played really good in playoff games. Excuse me, but it's always been what are the other guys going to do around him? And the one thing that reoccurs with Jaren Jackson, even though he's having a great year this year, it's the foul trouble. Like anytime, he's averaging like 4, 5, 6 fouls a game. So has been one thing. So I will be interested to see, are these guys gonna help Ja, make a push for a finals? Now, will they get there? I really don't know. It's a slim chance because playing against OKC, I think OKC. I did say that they're probably going to the finals this year. And then we got the Lakers. I think it's a better chance to beat the Lakers now because all they're really banking on is their scoring. That's all you hear from Lakers fans and everybody is they're just going to outscore everybody, which I really don't know if they can do that in a 7-game series and still play really good defense. I still think defense still wins championships. So we got them. We got the Warriors who have had a resurgence with Jimmy Butler on that team, but what are they going to do? I don't know because we seen them lose to the 76ers and let Quentin Grimes drop 40 on them and with their first game without Jimmy Butler, even though they've been on a win streak, with them. So, we got these teams, and then even if the Grizzlies are a top seeded team, these lower seeded teams, they're still really good teams. So the West is loaded. So it's hard to get out of there. It is. But they are gonna have to win. I agree with Barto, they are gonna have to win. They will have to at least make it to a finals because, the Grizzlies haven't. But one thing I do think they will try and do is get Ja up out of there. I think the media will try and push, Ja Morant to go to a big market. That's all they sit here and do. That's all they want for these, young stars. All they want to do is get them out of there, out of these small markets because, of course, like everybody says, when you go to a big market, the game you're doing in a small market, it looks great. But when you go to a bigger market, it'll look phenomenal. It'll be, generational and this and that and all that. So, like, they want, even though Cade is doing what he's doing in Detroit, they're probably talking about it now, but a couple years from now, they will say Cade needs to go to New York or, some big market. And then they've already been saying about LaMelo, but, a lot of people say they don't really know if he should leave because, they don't think he's a winning player. So they say it about all these guys. So it's bound to happen when it comes to Ja Morant. But I think what's going for them to, make it to the finals, I also don't think, how many big name stars want to go to Memphis. Like, you really don't. It's kind of the same thing with Miami. Like, you just got to draft out players. Like, you don't see a lot of big players going there. Like, since LeBron James, you haven't seen big players go out there. Except for, when Jimmy Butler went there. But other than that, they've been drafting guys. So the Grizzlies, they're kind of going to have to be like, honestly, kind of like the Warriors, with the We Believe Warriors, they had that. They were kind of building up hype for the Warriors, but then, they didn't really get anywhere. But then when they drafted Steph Curry, and then they drafted Klay Thompson, and then they drafted Draymond Green, and then they started winning, and then that franchise started booming, and now they're the most expensive franchise in basketball. So, that's what's gonna have to happen for the Grizzlies. But I still think at the end of the day, for them to make more money, they honestly will have to relocate. Like, I hate it. Memphis is closer. You can go right there. I hate for it to happen, but it's the smart move. Like, at the end of the day, like, it will, put. I don't really know if they're gonna keep the Grizzlies name for Nashville, but it's gonna put them more on the map. Like, it's going to be more beneficial in the long run because, yeah, like, people don't want to come out to Memphis. We already saw with Jimmy Butler, like, his ungrateful self. He didn't want to come out there to a winning team. He decided to go out there to the Warriors, which, I get it, they're winning, but they're trying to dig themselves up out of the ground. So, and we know KD, when he was trying to leave from the Nets, he didn't want to go to Memphis. So it's like we aren't going to get stars out of free agency. we're gonna have to draft him, and we've done pretty good so far. Like Jalen Wells, he's looking like a very experienced player, even though he's a rookie. Zach Edey's he's been coming along pretty good. Uh, Triple J, like I said, he's having an All Star year. So I mean, they got Grizzlies got all these guys, but can they get over that hump right now? That's the big question. Can they do it in the playoffs? Can they turn it around? Because we've seen that their star player, that face of the franchise, has done it, but can his supporting cast do it too? So I think that'll be really interesting to see. That's really all what I've been waiting for. I know the Grizzlies can be a top seed team from the regular season. I know they can win games, but the playoffs, that's where it matters. Like playoffs is what's going to keep this team together for more and more years to come, because people will be saying that this team needs to be disbanded, and some of these guys need to take their talents elsewhere. So it's bound to happen, because it always happens. Like they always want the big name stars in small markets to go somewhere else. So it's gonna happen, which I hate for it as a Grizzlies fan, but like it's really the inevitable, honestly.
Yeah, I think both of these guys pretty much said all we need to be said, man. The Grizzlies, it would be better for them to relocate, as we see with their numbers. Their numbers aren't really good financially, keeping guys in the seats. Um, like I ain't gonna lie, they had a game, against the Phoenix Suns, man. You got star players like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant playing, John Morant, um, and tickets were going for $4. Like even for nosebleed seats, that's really bad. Like for nosebleed seats, that is terrible, man. $4, like, man, I bring my whole extended family up to a Memphis Grizzlies game, and that's how much we're going to be paying for like basketball games. Um, I do want to say this though about the Memphis Grizzlies. I think they are in kind of a rough spot, especially with how competitive the Western Conference is. And the Western Conference, for it to be that competitive, and they really only got, I'd say, like only one. I can see the Thunder losing to like a team in the Western Conference if that does happen. Like I wouldn't be surprised. But the Thunder are really like the only contending team in the Western Conference. Everybody else is kind of in that range where they can beat each other, but like I wouldn't pick anybody to really come out the West besides the Thunder. So I think the Grizzlies are in that range. John Murray, he's been getting a lot of wash conversations, wash talks. They've been doing the whole Nets KG meme on him, saying that he's not the player you should be. This guy used to average like 27 points per game, and like now he's like having Allen below 20 points per game. So I do think that will come back for Josh, especially in the postseason. But yeah, I think they're just in kind of a rough spot. They're seeded well, which should help them, like especially if they get in the series. But with how well the Lakers been playing recently, Lakers might actually grab the 2 seed, and they may get like the 3 or 4 seed. But honestly, I can see them get the 4 seed. But if they do get the 4th seed, I do think that might be a little beneficial for them, because I think they'll match up better against a team like Houston than like these other teams that that the Lakers and Nuggets will probably be facing. I do think Timberwolves are a little scary. Like they are scary, and Memphis they do lack in that kind of you know when they played Timberwolves like a couple years back, they really should have lost that series. Like they really should have lost the series. They really only escaped out of that series out of the fact that the Timberwolves is being dumbasses, and they didn't have a true point guard. So um, that's an important thing to know. But yeah, I pretty much think y'all are like hit it on the head. I really don't think I need to add anything else. Like they're not in purgatory. I won't say like they're not in purgatory. I think we be throwing that word around a little too much, but it's a kind of uncomfortable state. If I would have to say, it's kind of like I would compare it to like some Japanese mythology, but I think the audience wouldn't really know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. They're kind of cooked a little bit. Because I don't really think they're good enough to win a championship. I do want to see them add a player in free agency. Um, I like their young core, but they're really lacking like some size on that perimeter. So I want them to get somebody like that, or like even like a good wing who can offer like a good level of scoring for them. I know like there was some rumblings about, I mean, before the season about Paul George going there, which I think, oh my God, thank God he didn't go to Memphis. Jesus Christ. Like who 76ers, they can kind of hang on to that contract, because that's like that may be the worst contract in the league right now. That or the Bradley Beal deal. It's really bad. But yeah, Jimmy Butler was slated to go there, and I think it's better that he didn't go there, because I don't think they really could. I don't even think they needed a guy like Jimmy Butler. like as that other option to Ja. I don't think that would have worked in that offense. But you never know. Possibly it could have worked, especially with how Jimmy Butler is like applicable to play with anybody. Like he's played with Joel Embiid and Steph Curry, Bam Adebayo, these other guys. So it's not really shocking if that would work. But yeah, I do think they're in kind of a rough stage. Where they kind of do need to look over things. And if they lose in like the first, second round, like they don't make a deep playoff run, it may be time to like look over things, and a move has to be made. Trading like Desmond Bain or one of these other guys. So I think Desmond Bain is he's kind of overlooked as a player. I think he's a solid player. Um, but yeah, many of the casuals they just kind of overlook how good he is. Like he's a pretty good player. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the situation, man.
I will say this, and like I said, I try to be very, very careful with my dialogue because I do have a lot of love for the city of Memphis. But bro, if we just keeping it a bean, we can be honest here. And I know that I'm a University of Memphis alum. I know that my alumni they're gonna come at me in the comments. They're gonna come at me personally, but I'm just gonna put the shit out here. If we compare Memphis to a lot of these other markets, it's a shithole. If we just being completely honest, and bro, niggas don't want to migrate here, and I feel like that's really the biggest thing. Like Buff is saying, getting a free agent. They not getting no damn free agents, bro. They're not getting no highly touted free agents. And then it's like if you make a trade, you need to acquire somebody that's on a long-term contract because if they on a short deal, they not re-signing. They not re-signing unless you win a championship. That's the only way you resign it. You only resign if you win a championship. And I feel like that's just the problem. They have to relocate. It's kind of like if and also it also has a lot to do with how these NBA players are from personality standpoint. Because think about this. There's a football team in Baltimore, Maryland. Do you guys think that the NBA could have a team in Baltimore? Absolutely not. So the basketball is changing. Like Buff said in a different video, it's evolving. That doesn't mean that it's getting better, but it is evolving. It's changing. Teams that are in Utah, teams that are in Memphis, it's not going to work. That's why I think we either need to have less teams or, and this video as it came out, we need to expand globally to different markets. Cause I feel like they've hit every single market domestically that they need to hit. You got teams on the East Coast, in Philly, in the New England area, New York. You got a bunch of teams over there in California. You got teams in Texas, teams in Florida. You've hit those markets. You got your Midwest teams because Midwest is a very, very valued area. Those other areas like the Northwest, the South, the Southeast, bro, you're not making no extra money over there. So let's go ahead and move those teams to other locations or have fewer teams. That way, if you think about it like this, those franchises that get to stay get to take more revenue. That revenue is going to be spaced out to those teams. See, that's how you have to think. It's all about cost evaluation and cost expenses. They need to be a little bit more cost efficient because I feel like the NBA is making a lot of money, but some of these teams are not that valuable. And no disrespect, the Grizzlies are just not a valuable franchise.
Yeah, man. I agree with it. Like Buff said, he was talking about the Suns game tickets. Like when we play big name teams, like dog, our tickets are still low. Like you can still get nosebleed seats for like below $10, and you can't up the prices because you're gonna have to factor in like the cost of living and the income of certain families and stuff like that. So the value, the money is not going to go up if we stay in Memphis. So yeah, man, they're gonna have to move on. At some point if they want to become a more valuable franchise team. So whenever that happens, it's gonna hurt the city of Memphis, but it's gonna be good change, for the Grizzlies as a franchise.